In this video, I'm going to be breaking down EURUSD. If you want to improve your trading, you should sign up to my free course. This is designed to show you why you're not winning and how you can actually change your methodology to turn your results around. There's 13 videos covering risk management, psychology, and technical analysis, and it's totally free. If you head over to the link in the description, you can enroll there and you'll get the course emailed to you. So I suggest you do that, and I hope you get a lot of value from it. Let's jump into the video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you had a wonderful weekend as usual. And now it's time to get back into the markets. So the markets have opened up and they haven't made too much movement this week. There have been some nice intraday runs down, but we haven't had any dramatic movement and we are still trading around the prices we were at the close of last week's session. One important thing to say before we do dive into the analysis is last week on Friday, we did have the US non-farm payroll. It was extremely bullish for the US dollar. The forecast for this was 110,000 new jobs formed in January, but as it turns out, it was actually 467,000. So we had a huge jump over the forecast. It was less than the previous, but it was still very bullish. And we did see the dollar rally, and we did see EURUSD and GBP/USD actually fall as a result of that news. The reason I wanted to mention that is because we do need to be careful and patient moving into this new week, because oftentimes coming out the back of news like the NFP, we do have some choppy price action, and it can be a little bit difficult to work with a little bit of a whipsaw while investors and traders get back into the flow of the trend. So let's dive into the analysis now. I'll show you the high time frames and then I'll show you the low time frames, what it is that I'm actually looking for today and on a full week basis. So I'm going to quickly shoot over to the high time frames. Now I know if you watch my videos regularly, you'll have seen this, but it's good to be refreshed. And if you are new to the channel, you won't know what my high time frame picture is for Euro. So looking at EURUSD, we can see here on the weekly, we were trading within this large demand area. But what we actually did from here was break through that. Okay, we had this big push, which pushed below the low and actually broke the structure. As well as breaking that weekly demand, it also broke through this structural low. And if we look from this high point here, we've got the high of the trend, then we have a higher low, but then we have a lower high and we started to break down into lower lows and lower highs, which has actually continued at this point now. So we are trading into this open imbalance, which does bring us towards 1.1 if this does come through. Now, as we can see, the market has actually showed a lot of strength last week, engulfing many weeks of price action, pretty much the entire year of price action dating back to November last year. So this actually does look very bullish right now. We do have some imbalances left open within this that I believe we could pull back down to, but we have to actually be cautious now because we could run up towards this supply, bringing us to around 1.15250, or we may actually just fall down from where we currently are towards that 1.1 level. But with this bullish candle being so strong, this is actually more of an idea that I wasn't so much considering before. So the weekly and the daily, they do suggest downside, but obviously this current momentum we've just seen is looking pretty strong and may actually cause a drive to the upside. So focusing on where we are right now then, I'm going to quickly drop to the 4 hour, and this is where my intra-week ideas come from. We can see on the 4 hour time frame that we had that large sell-off, we broke the structure, and last week in the analysis video, I gave you ideas to short from here, and from here, but only with confirmations. And as we can see, there were no confirmations from here, there were no confirmations from here, but we did actually get a little bit of a rollover from this top zone. So in that video, I did mention the favored zones were either going to be this very top area here or the very low area down here. As we can see, no confirmation formed, so no trades were executed by me, and they shouldn't have been executed by you as well if you were working with this analysis. Now, what we did see at the end of last week was price respect this zone. We did come very close to the top, pretty much just tapped the outside of the zone, but then we started to sell off, and as we can see, price is now making a steady decline. Some of this was kicked off by the NFP, but from here onwards is actually this week's price action, right? From this candle down to here. So we have actually sold off through this week so far. Now, what am I expecting to actually do with what we currently have then? Well, what I can see is the supply zone reaction, and then we actually did have a small structure break. Now, I would class this as substructure because the overall structure trend, it's obviously going to be the low point here. We have this higher high, higher low, and then we have this very impulsive rally. So for me, the trend wouldn't really shift entirely into bearish territory unless we went and broke through this low, which obviously may not happen. We do not know, and it's going to be a long way before we do get to there to find out. But what I can see from the current structure, I'm going to go a little bit lower now to the 30-minute, is that we had here a higher high, a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then this impulse here actually drove through this low and through this low and formed a new lower low in the trend. I can then see we've pulled back up, we formed this little resistance point, and then we've begun to sell off again. Now, as of right now, we have not broken through this trend low. So we are still stuck within a range. I would see from here a bearish opportunity potentially to bring us through this imbalance. We do have a very large price gap open here, as we can see. And I do think if we're going to make significant upside, it's likely that this is going to be filled. Obviously, it's not guaranteed, but I do think if we begin to break down, this could definitely be an area to target for some shorts. Now, as I mentioned before, the significant structure point here needs to be broken before we go into any swing movements down. So if we were looking for shorts from the current area, I would not be looking to take these all the way down. I would just be looking to bring these towards this area to actually fill that imbalance, and then we can see where the market's going to go from there. If we start to break structure, we can continue selling, but if we do bounce from here, we do obviously have that higher time frame upside target in mind that we spoke about that could be filled. So we're looking towards, for this, 1.15250, 1.15500, and potentially 1.15750 at a push. So we have this kind of area that the market could go into if we do decide to run the highs. We can also see with the supply area that we did form essentially these equal highs in the market. So I actually do believe there's quite a possibility that we will run up to there. But I do believe with the weakness we're currently seeing, it's possible that we're going to pull down first to fill some of this imbalance and trade in towards around 1.13 or 1.13250. So where are the opportunities then? Well, we can see here that we are still trading within this range. So what I would really like to see is the market to first of all break down, and then we could actually look for potential pullbacks and sell from there. If that happens, what it confirms to me is we've had the high, then we had a lower low, then we had a lower high, then we've had another lower low. So we can clearly see there is a downtrend in action there with a lot of imbalanced price open here. So if we did get a breakdown, we could continue selling into it. A second opportunity would be if we do rally back up, preferably after breaking the low, but not entirely essential, would be if we can pull back up towards this imbalanced area here at the top. What we could then do from here is look for some shorts if the market pulls back in and then shows that low time frame confirmation that we like to see so much. So my low time frame confirmation is going to be structure confirmation using some of the lower time frames, being a 30-minute time frame trade that we're looking at here. I'll be looking around the 5, 10, and 15-minute time frames for this price action to occur within this zone. If that was to happen, that would tell me that the market is flipping over, and we can see here we do have these small equal lows as well that we formed on market open. So if we could break through these equal lows, fill this little gap that we have, trade into supply, and then begin rolling over like so, we could then very happily sell into that. This would be an aggressive entry as opposed to the conservative one, which would be a follow through pullback and then sell. But it could be a very high risk reward opportunity. If we look at a potential idea, we could be looking upwards of 10R on the way down to this. So for me, that would be a valid trade and one worth going for sure. So I won't be risk entering into this. I will actually be waiting for the confirmations to form. But if they do, there's definitely a nice opportunity for me there. And I will consider taking that quite heavily. So for Euro then this week, you've seen my overall ideas, the higher time frame picture. My big goal is to see this imbalance filled. Now, obviously, if we do break above this high, that's going to be overwritten, okay? Because what that tells me is that we are going to continue this uptrend and we've opened space towards those 1.15, 1.15250, 1.15750 levels that we were talking about before. So the two opportunities we've got is we either begin to break down and we can sell into the market, take it into 1.13. Or we break above and then we can buy into the market on the pullbacks to take towards 1.15250 and beyond. Now, when we hit some of these higher time frame zones here, the 1.15500 and so on, I do not think the market's going to continue past that, to be honest, right now. We are looking at a lot of interest rate raises from the US this year, and I do think that US dollar is going to probably stay quite bullish, regardless of all the inflation and ridiculousness that's going about it. It might be being propped up kind of synthetically, but it is still being propped up. So with the news ahead for the year, I do believe that, Euro is going to have some more open space to fill. And as we can see here on the weekly, we do obviously have this open imbalance now. So if Euro can pull into there, it's very likely that this is going to be around the selling point that we look to bring it down. But for now, we'll just focus on the run either up into there or down into this imbalanced area. Now, are there any intraday opportunities on EURUSD? Well, I think we may actually have a buy today on Euro. A few things to keep in mind. We've actually come and swept out the low of the Asia range liquidity. We are now pushing back up with a little bit of strength. The market is actually pushing back into that range. If we also look at the 10-minute time frame here, we can see that we've reacted to this demand, right? The 5 minutes is going to show it better. So let's just shoot down there. If we grab our parallel channel tool, mark on this demand zone here, clearly imbalanced demand, we can see that the market came in, reacted around the midpoint, and has now started rallying to the upside. So EURUSD could very well buy today towards the high of the Asia range. I will be focusing on that. And if we do continue to push past the high of the edge range, which is around here, this supply area here, we could potentially go and take it through these highs and trade towards the 1.1470 level. So let's keep that in mind. That's something for you to work with today. See what Euro is up to. But I do think we may have an intraday buy here. And then what we can do is just assess the range, see if we're going to start rolling over. And if we are, we can look to sell into it. And if we do break the high, we can focus on those higher time frame buys towards the 1.15250 and beyond targets that we spoke about. So that is my outlook for Euro USD for this day, for this week, and I hope you can work with it, and I hope you can get some profitable trades out of it. Right now, as I say, we are in a little bit of a range, we are in a little bit of a limbo, so it's not the easiest to work with for the high time frame stuff, but I do believe this little buy could pull us through something nice before the actual big action gets into gear. So thank you for watching, I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.